Hello, friends, fellow guild members. I haven't seen your faces in over 3 years now and miss everyone. Both Dave and Mark, on separate occasions, have asked me to speak a little on the subject of Cyrillic letters, but COVID, timing, and general laziness have precluded me from delivering this presentation. Well, until now, that is. I will mostly cover the history bit with a few examples of old and contemporary usage, but you're more than welcome to ask questions or points to clarify that should help cover the practice bit of the spiel. The first known Slavic alphabet was created by these two guys, brothers Cyril and Methodius. They were born in Thessaloniki, that's Byzantine Empire, around 9th century. They were sent on a mission to Christian what at the time was known as the Great Moravia, basically the Balkans, to translate the Bible and come up with the first alphabet. For the longest time, it was assumed that that alphabet was in fact Cyrillic, named after one of the two brothers. But most scientists nowadays believe it was in fact the earlier Glagolithic alphabet. The origin of actual letter shapes is largely unknown. They could derive from family or tribal seals, be influenced by Hebrew or Sarmatic scripts, or be a wholly original invention. It had a limited spread and is still used by the Croatian Orthodox Church and also for tagging walls in Croatia by street gangs, but largely failed to catch on and was quickly superseded and marginalized. The actual Cyrillic was most likely developed by their disciples, Saints Clement and Naum. It was based on the uncial form of the Byzantine Greek that was popular in 9th century, with some original inventions for the missing sounds that were native to Slavic tribes. So for comparison, here's an example of a Greek manuscript written in Constantinople next to a page from the Gospel in actual Church Slavonic using Cyrillic alphabet. This style of writing became known as Ustav, or the canon, and it is still a predominant fixture of the Russian Orthodox Church. And on the right, you can see the whole alphabet. Likewise, the Greek titling capitals, popular in the 9th century, were a direct influence on the Slavic Vyaz script. These Vyaz, or tangly letters, were a place where scribes often competed at how convoluted and clever their ligature work could be, with little regard for legibility, as anyone reading scripture would know at least the opening words. A simple form of writing for casual notes and household chores, like shopping lists and school exercise, that can be quickly scribbled onto wax tablet or a piece of birch bark with a sharp needle developed alongside. In a boggy ground of Novgorod, we find over 2,000 and still digging more every year of these letters, ranging from 9th to 14th centuries. Some examples, like a wife sending a note to her husband working in a field, telling him that he forgot to pack a shirt, or a boy, age 8, dreaming of becoming a warrior and riding a horse, a woman writing to her brothers to vouch for her in the court over the dowry as she left an abusive husband, magical incantations, curses, jokes, and swear words. Unlike scripture, these were written in actual Old Russian rather than Church Slavonic by ordinary people and provide a fascinating glimpse into their lives and language. Another form of writing that developed simultaneously was the scorapis, or the script form, with eccentric flourishes and a lot of variations. These proved to be the hardest to read for a modern Russian who hasn't studied paleography. Then again, I can't read most of modern handwriting either, especially when done in a hurry, so it might just be me. Sometimes that legibility went to the extreme, as an example. Some examples of the early printed pages using actual movable type. These date from late 15th century. And a rather handsome spread by Dr. Francis Skarina, born in present-day Belarus, with his signature interpretation of the Ustav form for his letter shapes. This is early 16th century. In 1708, Peter I carried out the major script reform, getting rid of some unnecessary and duplicating characters that got carried over from the Greek or lost their distinct phonetic difference in the 9th century that have passed. He also adapted the letter forms to be closer to contemporary Latin scripts of Western Europe. So on the left are the archaic forms crossed out by the Tsar's own hand, and on the right the newly established alphabet, upper, lowercase, and some optional alternatives at the very bottom. A little specimen showing the adaptation and development of the new civil script, as it became known, in the next 50 years. There were further reforms all the way to after the revolution, but they were quite minor. So to reiterate, I made a little development chart. First, the Greek uppercase letters and ligatures, then the corresponding Cyrillic letters. Ones not derived from Greek are in black. Then letters removed by the Petrine reform. Next, letters made obsolete after the revolution. And the final alphabet as it stands. Um, do note that I am excluding the letter yo, as it's optional and would demand a whole separate lectures. Now, these only correspond to the Cyrillics used in Russian language, but basically most Cyrillic writing countries went alongside the same routes. So you have some regional variations in Serbian, Bulgarian, Ukrainian, Belarusian, but they would be quite minor, and the general direction would pretty much coincide. And there we go, some 19th and early 20th century specimen pages showing the various forms Cyrillics have taken. And a handful of advertisements showing the combination and use of the diverging styles. As you can see on the right, the historic forms were also sometimes channeled, even outside of the church setting, which remains true to the 9th century grammar and script to this day. And finally, some modern fonts clearly inspired by the old letter forms. Um, the Greek on the left, the Scorpis in the middle, and clearly Vias forms on the right. And that's all she wrote. I'll be happy to answer any questions you guys might have. So ask away.